Hello everyone, it's nice to see so many of you have joined us today. Welcome to our Coping Well During COVID Mindfulness episode, and we're really excited to be able to offer this for you today and hope that you find today's webinar really useful. My name is Emily Gardner and I'm a cognitive behavioural therapist and I work for the NHS in London, and I have worked in mental health for over 11 years. And I've been trained specifically to treat adults with anxiety and depression and other common mental health difficulties. And before we get started, it'd be really helpful to show you a little bit about how to use the Q&A function. So we start by clicking on the box in the top right hand corner with the question mark for Q&A, and then well, you can enter your name, but we prefer if you would click on the small box by the blue arrow to remain anonymous, and that way we can keep your information confidential. And then enter your question and click on the arrow to click send. So we're going to be using this throughout the webinar to make the webinar interactive. So if I ask you a question, please use this function. If I ask you to respond to a poll, again, please write your response here or like the relevant comment that will come up in the Q&A for you. If you have a question, then please ask it here, and wherever possible, please keep your details anonymous. Everything you write will not be published immediately and needs to be approved by a moderator, so it will take a few moments to appear. If you wish to keep a question private for the moderators only, then please add private at the beginning of your question or comment, and that way you can have a conversation privately. We will be unlikely to answer all questions, but your responses will help us to tailor future webinars, and we will hopefully leave some time at the end of today's webinar where we can answer some of your questions. So if you have a question that you'd like me to answer, then save it for the end and I will respond to that at the end. So let's have a go at it now. So using the Q&A, please like the one that is relevant to you. So we'd like you to let us know why you're here. So some of you may be here for yourself, some of you may be here to learn more for a family member or friend, or maybe you're here as a professional, or perhaps another reason. So please go into the Q&A, find the comment that's relevant to you and like it by clicking the thumbs up next to it. So either choose A, B, C or D, and I'll look at your responses in a few moments. So we're offering a series of webinars with the aim of helping you to cope with the impact caused by the coronavirus, and the themes of the webinar are different each week, focusing on different ways that COVID-19 might be impacting on your mental health. And in each webinar we try and start by understanding why your mood might be impacted, but also give you some strategies and techniques to go away with to improve how you feel. So let's see who you are and who you're here for today. So I'm just going to have a look now at the Q&A. So just let me have a little look. So most of you are here for yourself. Yeah, that seems to be unanimously the most, so welcome, and really hope that you go away today with some really useful techniques that you can apply to help you feel more mindful. Okay, lovely. So back to the presentation, which seems to have, as usual, we will have probably some technical difficulties. That's not what I want to do. Let's try again. We'll try again here. This doesn't normally happen. Where has it gone? Nope, that's not working either. Let's try again. Here we are. I think we've got it. I'm sorry about that. It disappeared for a moment. Okay, so Next, we have another question for you. I'd be really interested to hear what you hope to get out of this webinar today. So what are your hopes for what you'll take away with today? And I'll come back to your responses in a few moments. So what we have in mind is the kind of idea behind this series of webinars is to give you a toolkit of evidence-based resources and ideas that you can use to support your mental well-being over the next few days, weeks or months. And the content of these webinars is based on cognitive behavioural therapy, which is a very effective treatment for depression, anxiety and other mental health difficulties. And the whole idea behind CBT is that it focuses on making changes to our thoughts as well as our behaviour to improve the way that we feel. So for today's webinar, we are going to give you a brief introduction to mindfulness and its benefits. And we want you to go away with 3 mindfulness-based exercises that you can start to practice and some mindfulness-based activities to start you off on your mindfulness journey. So let's have a look at your hopes for the webinar today. Okay, techniques for coping. So absolutely, mindfulness is a really useful technique to help cope with particularly worrisome thoughts or stress, negative thoughts or challenges that you might be facing. So we really do recommend mindfulness, and we'll talk a bit more about the benefits of mindfulness shortly. Achieving balance and emotional equilibrium. Lovely. Yes, mindfulness will definitely help with that one. Some tools and resources to help with my anxiety. Brilliant. Yeah, we're going to cover that too. Reminders to look after my health and thoughts. Yes. In a few moments, we're going to talk about the benefits of mindfulness, and mindfulness is definitely going to cover some of these things. And so thank you for sharing your hopes for today's webinar. Okay, so just a quick note really on how we might be feeling right now. I suppose it's important to acknowledge our emotions and how this pandemic might be making us feel. And we want you to know that it's okay to not feel okay. You're not alone, and it's really normal that you're experiencing some of the emotions, the roller coaster of emotions that you might be experiencing. Things are so uncertain right now, and the future is unknown. And although lockdown restrictions are easing, there's still a lot of uncertainty, and we may be very worried about the future of our jobs, the future of our finances, or the future of the country or the world. So there's lots of things that we're going to be worrying and thinking about. So it's important to recognise that these emotions are expected and they're normal. We've been through a lot of changes and upheavals, so it's to be expected in many ways, so don't feel bad about that. I suppose today's webinar is to help you go away with some things to help you to manage that a bit better. And some of you may be really struggling and not know where to turn, and so we wanted you to know where you could turn if you need immediate support. So if you're having thoughts of suicide or of harming yourself in any way, then please talk to someone. Don't struggle alone. I know it's easier sometimes to feel like a burden on other people, but it's important to reach out and share how you're feeling and talk to someone. So the Samaritans are here to listen at any time of day or night, and you can talk to them about anything. So give them a call on 116 123. So what is mindfulness? Well, it basically means knowing directly what is going on inside and outside ourselves moment by moment. So it's being kind of connected with the present moment, physically, emotionally, and knowing and being aware of what's going on. It's so easy to stop noticing the world around us, and it's very easy to lose touch with the way that our bodies are feeling, and we can end up living really caught up in our heads. We can be dwelling on loads of different things, loads of thoughts, without stopping to notice how these thoughts are driving our emotions and our behaviours. So an important part of mindfulness is reconnecting with our bodies and the sensations that we experience. So this means waking up to sights, sounds, smells, tastes, all of those experiences and sensations of the present moment. Another important part of mindfulness is the awareness of our thoughts and feelings as they happen moment by moment. And it's about allowing ourselves to see the present moment clearly. And when we do that, it can positively change the way that we see ourselves and our lives. So a bit more about the benefits of mindfulness. Well, numerous psychological studies have shown that regular meditators are happier and more contented than average. And this is really significant, not just because it makes you happier, but also because medical studies have found that positive emotions, such as feeling happier or more content, is linked to a healthier and longer life. So, you don't only get the benefits of feeling happier, but we get the benefits of being healthier and living longer as well. Anxiety, depression, and irritability all decrease with regular sessions of meditation, so that's a plus. Our memory can improve, our reaction time can be faster, and our mental and physical stamina also increase. And regular meditators enjoy better and more fulfilling relationships. And studies have also found that it reduces chronic stress and hypertension, and that it also boosts the immune system as well. So there are so many fantastic benefits of mindfulness meditation. So why not give it a go and try it out? So I want to start us off with a 1-minute mindfulness, and this is something that you can do anywhere, but today we're going to do it right where you are, sat up in your chair or on the bed or wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Just sit up, bring your back a little way away from the chair so that your spine is self-supporting. You can put your feet flat on the floor and close your eyes or lower your gaze, whichever you prefer, and then focus your attention on your breath as it flows in and out of your body. And stay in touch with the different sensations of each in-breath and each out-breath. And observe the breath without looking for anything special to happen. After a while, you may find that your mind wanders as you're focusing on your breathing. When you notice this, just gently bring your attention back to your breath without giving yourself a hard time. The simple act of realizing that your mind has wandered and then bringing your attention back without criticizing yourself is central to the practice of mindfulness meditation. So continue to just focus on breathing without changing it, just observing and noticing each in-breath and out-breath. Your mind may eventually become calm, like a still pond, or it might not. Even if you get a sense of absolute stillness, that may only last for a moment. If you're feeling angry or exasperated, notice that this may also be fleeting too. Whatever happens in this moment, just allow it to be as it is. Just continue to focus on your breathing. And after a minute, let your eyes open and take in the room again. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of a dipped your toe in the mindfulness pond. It is quite a simple technique that you can do and try anywhere. It's just something that you can use just to kind of breathe mindfully, really focusing on your breathing as it is. And obviously we did it just for 1 minute there, but if you want to do that in the future, you can do it for 5 minutes or longer, whatever works for you. So yeah, just thought that'd be a good way to get started. Wanted to kind of highlight a few things that meditation isn't. So although there are many benefits to meditation and mindfulness that we've just kind of gone through, many people are still wary of it. And so I just thought it might be helpful here to dispel a few myths, just to kind of highlight that meditation is not a religion. It's simply a method of mental training, and people from all different backgrounds use mindfulness. So it's not a particular religion or persuasion at all. You don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor. You may have seen that in magazines or on the television, but you can sit anywhere and do meditation or mindfulness wherever you want. It's simply about bringing awareness to whatever you're doing. So whether that's on the commute, when you're walking, anywhere. And it doesn't take a lot of time, although it requires patience and persistence. You don't have to do it for very long. 5-10 minutes a day is sufficient. And finally, it isn't complicated. It's not about success or failure. It's not about getting it right or wrong. Even a difficult meditation or mindfulness session can give you lots of learnings. And it won't deaden your mind or prevent you from striding towards important career or lifestyle goals. So that's important to acknowledge as well. I want to kind of think a little bit now about autopilot and talk to you a little bit about what that is. So have any of you ever walked or driven somewhere and you get there, you arrive, and you have that sense of kind of not really knowing how you got there, and maybe you realise that actually you weren't paying that much attention to the journey? Or perhaps you've gone to a specific place to get something and then you come back and you realise that you didn't actually get the thing that you went there for in the first place. I don't know about you, but this kind of thing has happened to me a number of times throughout my life. And when this happens, you are simply on autopilot. Your mind has been hijacked by your concerns. So I really like this picture as it demonstrates so easily what we can, a habit we can fall into is that we're on a walk with our dog and we're just so in our heads thinking about all the things that we need to do, all of our concerns, and we're not really present in that moment. And so it's a problem that might feel quite familiar. I guess another example might be, have you ever set off to drive towards a friend's house only to find yourself taking the route to work instead? Because the work route is the kind of habit. When you're on that autopilot, you tend to lean in towards your habit, to what's more natural. So habits can be really powerful, and they can drive us in directions that are completely different from the one that we intended, like we just highlighted. And psychologists have completed studies to illustrate the extent to which we can miss really obvious things when we're in our autopilot mode. And so in one experiment, an actor stopped an ordinary person in the street and asked them for directions. And as that person was giving them directions, two people carrying a door, as you can see in this image, rudely barged between them. And whilst their view was blocked, the actor was switched for another actor who looked and sounded completely different. And despite this, only half of the people who were asked for directions actually noticed that a switch had happened. And this experiment really shows how easy it can be for us to be so absorbed in our busyness, and we can miss really important things as a result. So let's have a bit of an experiment with your autopilot. So this week, see if you can notice which chairs you normally sit on at home, or in a cafe, or in a bar, or perhaps at work, and make a deliberate choice to try another chair or alter the position of your chair, the one that you are normally in if you can't change it, and then notice how your perspective changes just by changing the chair. So yeah, have a go at experimenting with autopilot this week and see what happens. So I want you to picture yourself looking out on a street like this, or any other street that you would like to, maybe one where you grew up or a street where you now live. So close your eyes and really imagine that street. And I want you to imagine that it's raining, and in the rain, it seems cold and inhospitable. The buildings look tattered and old. The streets are clogged with traffic, and everything looks miserable, bad-tempered. And then something miraculous happens. The clouds part and the sun comes streaming through. The whole world is transformed in an instant. The windows of the buildings turn to gold. The streets look shiny and clean. It's a small adjustment, but these adjustments can have a significant impact. So such beautiful and unexpected changes in perspective can have a dramatic effect, not only on what you see, but also on what you think and feel. So just by shifting the sunshine, it changes the way we feel, it changes our emotions. So it's important to recognize that sometimes a shift in perspective is all we need. So in mindfulness, we start to see the world as it is, not as we expect it to be, how we want it to be, or what we fear it might become. So often we can be focused and dwelling on what we want, so our expectations or our fears, rather than on how things actually are. And often things are actually more pleasant and enjoyable in reality when we are actually present in the moment than we think. So present mind focus is the art of being present in the moment without passing judgment about your experience. And this process of being mindful is really simple, but so challenging. And the idea is to keep your attention focused on the moment that you're experiencing right now and suspend your judgment without thinking about anything. Without giving emotions or judgments on what you're thinking and feeling. And we can use our senses to do this simply by observing what's going on around you. So by observing your mind and your body, you don't have to change anything. It's just allowing yourself to be aware of what is happening. And we can use our senses to help us to to tune into the present moment, because it can be really tricky when our mind is so full of all of our to-do lists and things that we're thinking about. It can be really helpful to use our five senses to help us to do this. So an example of this, if you're cooking, you can use your five senses to really absorb yourself in this activity. So normally you might be worrying while you're cooking, but instead of worrying and cooking, if you're using your five senses, there's less space for those worries. So, for instance, you might think about what you can see, the colours, the patterns, the textures. What do your ingredients look like? How do they feel? What can you hear? What are the different smells? How do they each ingredient taste separately? And this is quite a helpful exercise to do to really engage with the present moment. So if you are one that is on autopilot quite a lot, this can be a really helpful strategy, is using your five senses to take you out of autopilot and help you to engage more in the present moment. So let's have a go at this now. So using your senses, I'm going to start with looking around. So I just want you to look around the room you're in, wherever you are, and I just want you to pay attention to the different things that you can see. Maybe notice some things that you've never seen before, some colours or patterns or textures that you've not really paid that much attention to, and just really absorb yourself in what you can see around you, the textures, the detail, and just observe those for a moment. Next, I want you to pay attention to your body. Really tune into how things feel physically right now in your body. And just notice what you can feel. Is there tension in your shoulders? Is your body feeling tired or alert? Maybe draw your attention to how you're sitting and where your back, is your back resting? Are your arms resting? Then notice your feet on the floor. Are you wearing shoes, or are your feet bare on the carpet? Maybe wiggle your toes and just notice how that feels. And I want you to notice what you can hear, and draw your attention to the sounds in the room. The sound of maybe the computer whirring, or perhaps a clock ticking, or a door creaking in the background. And then maybe draw your attention to any sounds you can hear outside of the room. Maybe a car driving past the window, perhaps someone talking in the other room. Just notice what you can hear. And maybe, if possible, notice things that you can smell, or perhaps taste something if you have something to taste available to you. Just observe the experience of smell and taste. And if that's not possible right now, save that for later. Try that again another time. And then bring your attention back to the room and back to me in the webinar. And I want you to now think about that activity and think about how it felt to be focused on those things. Were you worrying about other things? Were you dwelling on the past or your to-do list? Probably not. When we are using our senses, our cognitive load increases. And so this means that we use up more brain space. So we're less likely to be able to be present and worry at the same time. So the worries and the present focus cannot exist together. And so if we're focusing on our senses and being present, then there's less room for worries and negative thinking. So this is an exercise you can try anywhere. So a note about dealing with a wandering mind: it's quite normal to have thoughts about other things come up in our minds when we are trying to be present focused. So if you do notice this, just try and be aware and acknowledge the presence of the thought, and then try not to respond. Just observe your thoughts. Don't interfere with them. Don't judge them or react to them. Just describe them as they are in that moment, and allow those thoughts to be without responding to them. And we can think of this a little bit like a beach ball. So if you try and push a beach ball under the water, it is quite difficult to push it under, and it feels quite unstable and it wants to bounce back. And so if you slip and let go, that ball will bounce back, probably with greater force, and splash you in the face, basically. However, if you just let go of the beach ball, you're not pushing it, you just let go, step back, and bring your attention back to the present moment and focus on your senses, you will then notice the beach ball slip further and further away, and it's going to float away, carried off by the waves. And it can be the same with our thoughts. If we engage with them and fight them and try and submerge them or ignore them, they come back with more force and more power, and can be very overwhelming. Whereas if we just acknowledge them but let them go and let them float away, then that's a much more helpful and effective response to our thoughts and worries. Mindfulness has been found to boost resilience, which is the ability to withstand life's knocks and setbacks. It also can boost our hardiness, and hardiness varies from person to person. Some people really thrive on stressful challenges that other people can feel really daunted by. And a key difference with hardy people is that they have a belief that their situation has meaning, and that they are able to kind of manage life and that their situation feels understandable and comprehensible. Even if it is overwhelming or chaotic and feels out of control, they still feel like they can cope with it. And mindfulness has been found to help people to feel happier, more energized, less stressed, and they feel like they have more control over their lives. And so they've found that their lives have more meaning, and that they often see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. And this is quite a key finding, in that it improves our resilience. And these results were found following an 8-week mindfulness training course. So I suppose what I'm suggesting is that if you practice mindfulness regularly over an 8-week period, you're going to be more resilient, happier, more content, and you're going to feel more in control of your lives. So what other reasons are there to have a go? It's fantastic. It's evidence-based. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of motivation to try some of these techniques. And we have one more exercise that I want to go through with you before we finish today, and it's a seated body scan. And this mindfulness meditation can be done anywhere and in any position. But for the purpose of this, you can remain seated, but make sure you're comfortable, because it takes a few minutes. So if you need a cushion or a pillow for extra comfort, or perhaps if you're cold, grab a blanket or a cardigan. And then once you're comfortable, allow your eyes to close if that feels comfortable for you. And then let your arms hang alongside your body, with your legs uncrossed and your heels flat, grounded on the floor. And as you sit there, notice the sense of the body as a whole, sitting here. Notice the contact between the body and whatever is supporting you, whether it's the bed, the sofa, the chair, wherever you are. And experience it as it is in that moment. Noticing where your body makes contact, or maybe the potential sensations of touch or pressure. Perhaps your back is leaning back on the chair. Where are your arms resting? Just notice that. And as you become aware of these sensations, bring your awareness to your breathing. And notice the physical sensations of breathing, the rhythm of your breath as it moves your belly. You may also notice slight movements in your chest. Perhaps you can notice how the air enters through your nostrils, then goes through your windpipe and into your lungs. Just allow that natural movement of your breath to continue without having to do anything at all. You may feel a tendency to try and control your breathing, but just notice how it is, whether it's short or fast, long and deep. Just allow it to move in its own rhythm. Remind yourself that we're not trying to get anywhere or achieve anything in particular. The intention is to spend time with each part of your body, creating awareness of what is already here. Just allowing things to be as you find them. Let go of that desire to want things to be a certain way, to judge how you are doing. Simply just follow along with my instructions as best as you can. Whenever your mind wanders, as it probably will, just bring it back to my instructions without giving yourself a hard time. Now, bringing your attention to the sensations of your breath again. Breathe down in the abdomen and notice the stretching of the abdomen wall on the in-breath, and then the falling away on the out-breath. And just observe your breath in the abdomen there. Gathering your attention and moving the body to the feet. Noticing what sensations there are in both feet when your attention arrives here. Notice any sensations in the toes, soles of the feet, your heels, top of the feet. Here, right now. And if there are no sensations, then just acknowledge that. No problem. Or if they're very subtle, then just acknowledge this. And that this is how your body feels right now. And there's no right or wrong way to feel. Simply allow your attention to remain here. Taking a deeper breath. On the out breath, letting go of the feet. Let them dissolve in awareness and shift your focus to your ankles. What sensations are here? Just observe your ankles for a moment. Taking a deep breath. On the out breath, let go of the ankles and shift your attention to the lower legs. For a few moments, just notice the sense of contact. Be aware of any sensations there may be from your skin or from the inside of the legs. Take a deep breath, and on the out breath, release the attention from the lower legs and shift your attention to your knees and let your attention rest here. Just notice what sensations you're experiencing there. Are there any changes? Is there anything that stays the same? What's here for you right now? And taking a deep breath on the out breath, let go of the knees and shift your attention to your thighs. What do you notice here? Any sensations of contact or clothes on the surface of your skin? Any sensations of heaviness, lightness, vibration or pulsing? All sensations. And then when you're ready, on an in-breath, imagine the breath could come into the body, flowing all the way in the legs, right down to the feet, and then back again on the out-breath, up and out of the body. So that you're imagining or sensing what it would feel like if you could fill up the legs as you breathe in, and then empty the legs as you breathe out. And just play with this sensation for the next few breaths, if you choose. Now taking a deeper breath. As you breathe out, letting go of the legs, allowing them to dissolve in awareness. Shifting your attention to your hips and pelvis. Right hip, left hip, and the whole basin of the pelvis and the organs in this region. Imagine breath could fill this region on an in-breath and then out again on the out-breath. Then taking a deeper breath. The out-breath, let go of the hips and pelvis and shift your attention onto your back. Starting with your lower back. With the in-breath, expanding your field of awareness to take in the middle of your back. And then as you breathe in, take in your upper back, including the shoulder blades, until you're taking in the whole of your back in awareness. Breathing with the back now. Just stay with those sensations of breath. Now take a deeper breath into the back. And as you let go of the breath and move your attention to the front of your body, to your lower abdomen. See what sensations are waiting for you here. Feeling the sensations as you breathe in and breathe out. From time to time, you may find yourself getting distracted, perhaps with a daydream or a worry. Perhaps you want to hurry up and move on. Perhaps you're feeling bored or restless. And sometimes these things may pull quite strongly for your attention. And that's not a mistake. There's nothing that's gone wrong. Simply just take this opportunity to notice that these feelings or distractions are there and acknowledge them. And perhaps notice the impact that they're having on your body. And then without judgment, bring your attention back where you intended it to be initially, in your lower abdomen, breathing. And then take a deep breath. And on the out breath, leaving the abdomen and shifting your attention to the chest. Just observe what sensations are here. Be aware of this part of your body in this moment. Then taking a deeper, more intentional breath into the chest. And then when you're ready, let go of the breath and let go of the chest as well, and shift your attention to your hands and arms. Keeping both your hands and arms in your attention at the center of your awareness right now. Just observe how your hands and your arms feel in this moment. Take a deep breath. Let go of the hands and the arms and shift your attention to your shoulders and neck. What sensations are here? Their tension. Just attend to this moment, to whatever sensations you're feeling. Breathe with them. Then taking a deeper breath, and on the out breath, let go of the shoulders and neck and move your attention to your head and face, starting with the lower jaw, the chin, mouth, your lips, nostrils, surface of your nose, cheeks, the sides of your face, your ears, your eyes, eyelids, eyebrows, and the space between the eyebrows, your forehead, the sides of your forehead, temples. And just imagine that the breath can fill up your whole head and that you can feel the breath on the back of your face as it comes in, refreshing and renewing with each breath. Now imagine that your breath could fill the whole body as you rest here, breathing into the whole body and out from the whole body. And now letting go of any intentions for the breath and simply resting here, allowing the body to just be as it is, as you are, complete and whole, just resting in your awareness right now. And when you're ready, bring your attention back to the room, back to your surroundings. Hopefully that was a nice taster of a body scan meditation. And hopefully that has shown you how enjoyable it can be. You may have found your mind wandering, and as I said in the meditation, that's completely normal and to be expected, and it does take practice. And over time, the more you do it, the better you'll get. Okay, before we finish, just want to give you some ideas of what you can do to start to incorporate mindfulness into your daily life. So some tips for kind of a mindful daily routine, if you wish. So start each day with a mindful breathing technique. So if you have an alarm clock, recommend that you set it 5 to 10 minutes before you would normally get out of bed, and just use that time to sit in a comfortable position and do a mindful breathing technique similar to the 1 minute mindfulness meditation that we did at the beginning. And this can be a great strategy for a number of reasons. So firstly, you still get out of bed on time and you don't have to sacrifice anything else from your morning routine. Secondly, practicing mindfulness first thing in the morning is a great way to start the day. Hopefully you'll feel calm, refreshed and clear-minded. And thirdly, it gives you time to wake up gently rather than jumping out of bed already feeling rushed. And so what is a mindful breathing technique? Well, there's no tricks to this. It's simply paying attention to your breath without changing it. Okay, so another thing you can do is to choose one daily task to do mindfully. So there are many different tasks that you probably do on autopilot daily. So just think about what tasks you do and think about how you can make those tasks opportunities to invite more mindfulness into your life. So, for example, when you drink your morning cup of coffee, you can put your phone down and really pay attention to the flavour and aroma, the temperature and the texture of your cup. Or perhaps shower mindfully. So just by taking a bit of time to really observe the sensation of water falling on your skin, use your other senses. So perhaps the smell of the shampoo or shower gel, just to really absorb yourself in that moment. Perhaps a walk, listening to the different sounds that you hear around you. And the point of this daily mindful activity is to create a habit of doing something simple each day in a more mindful way. And then we let go of those distractions and practice being present and focusing on our senses so that you can actually experience the activity rather than being half in and half in your heads as well. And then the last thing is to give yourself space to feel your emotions without judgment. And this can be a great mindfulness activity to do towards the end of the day. So we do this by having a little check-in with yourself and your needs, by asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? And if you can, give yourself a few minutes to simply observe your emotions and just create space for them. So, for example, you could sit down somewhere quiet and turn that attention inwards. Notice how you're feeling physically. Reflect on the events of the day and how they unfolded. And then observe your emotions and the reasons behind them. Then let go of the reasons and just focus on the emotion itself. And so, for example, maybe initially you noticed that you were feeling irritated because the house is messy and you feel that your boss expects too much. Instead of focusing on all of that, then you just focus on the emotion, which is, I feel irritated. And then maybe notice how it feels to be irritated without beating yourself up for feeling that way. And allow yourself to fully feel that emotion. And often people find that the intensity starts to fade. It doesn't feel as overwhelming. So those are some things for you to try, along with the exercises that we've already had a go at in the session today. So some take-home messages for you today. Regular meditators are happier and more content. 1 minute mindfulness can help you to bring your attention back to the present. So wherever you are, if you feel you need it, you can use that. Have a go at experimenting with your autopilot and make that deliberate choice to do something a little bit different. Use present mind focus by absorbing yourself in your 5 senses. Have a go at the seated body scan meditation for that full body mindfulness experience. A reminder that mindfulness has been found to boost resilience and hardiness, so it's even more essential now. And have a go at creating a mindful routine and try and start and end each day a little more mindfully. So what we'd like you to do is choose one of these ideas from today's webinar that you're going to have a go at over the next week. So using the Q&A, these options are going to be already in the kind of comments. So if you just like the one that you're going to commit to try, so just click on it and click on the plus, not the plus, the thumbs up, and just kind of commit to that one. And then coming up, we have formal webinars planned until the 20th of August. We do have more coming, but we just haven't finalised a few details. So please look out for further webinars, one of which will definitely be a financial one. So if you've got financial worries, then keep an eye out for the date of that. And you can register for any of these webinars here, and we'll put that link in the Q&A. If you feel like you need more support, there are some fantastic IAP services that are free and available to you. So please use this link and type in your postcode and find those IAP services. If you feel like you need more urgent support, please reach out, contact your GP. If you can't wait to see a doctor, then we recommend the Samaritans or Shout, who offer 24/7 crisis tech support, or NHS have some really great guidance if you're not sure what support is available to you. There are some other resources available, any links that might be useful here. And we really do value your feedback. So if you have any thoughts or reflections on today's webinar, please let us know. And this link will also be in the Q&A section, so please find that. And we're going to leave some time now for question and answer. So yeah, if you have a question, please can you add it to the Q&A at the bottom, and I will come to those in just a moment and give you time to ask anything that you aren't sure about from today's webinar or anything mindfulness related. I'll come to that in just a moment. Okay, I'm just going to have a drink of water while you do that. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at which ones you're going to try this week. So I can see that a 1-minute mindfulness meditation is the most, oh no, creating a mindful routine is the most popular. There we go. It was close for a moment, but then the mindful routine snuck ahead. So that's great. Have a go at incorporating something a little more mindful each day, whether in the morning or before bed, is a fantastic way to increase mindfulness in life. Okay, I'll just see if there are any more questions. Any questions, not any more questions. Okay, can you recommend any mindfulness apps? Well, yes, I can actually. And maybe I should add this as a slide so that there's a resource. But if you have a pen and paper to hand, I will bring them up now. So Headspace is a really great app. You can get a free trial with Headspace. And you can have it on Android or iPhone, and there is a free trial, but then after the free trial you have to pay for it. But you can use that, I think it's 10 sessions of mindfulness for as much as you want before. You don't have to go onto the free trial if you don't want to. So I recommend Headspace. There's an app called Calm, another one called On the Go, Buddhify, and Stop, Breathe, Think. I will copy and paste those. I'm going to copy those into the chat now. There we go. Mindfulness apps. There we go. So if anyone isn't sure, you can find them. These aren't links, these are just the names. So go find those. Okay. Oh, thanks. One of the moderators already did that, so that's brilliant. We're all doing the same thing. Okay, any other questions before we finish up for today? Okay, I've got one here. I don't always feel like I'm in tune with my emotions or those of others. Can mindfulness help me? That's a really good question. Yes, yes, absolutely. As we kind of highlighted in the mindful daily routine, a really good way of using mindfulness is reflection and to really absorb and notice our emotions. Often we can neglect our emotions and we're not really aware of them. So mindfulness is a really good way to start helping us to become more in tune with our emotions and to tune in and focus on what's there, whether it's sadness or anger or even happiness. You know, how often do we dwell on the fact that we're feeling good or positive? So that's also a nice thing to do as well, and that mindfulness can help us. notice when we're feeling positive or feeling happier and more content. So so the answer to that is absolutely. Regular practice of mindfulness will make you even better at understanding and recognizing and acknowledging your emotions, but it will also help you to be kinder to yourself when you are feeling a normal negative reaction. As I said at the beginning of today's webinar, we've all been through so much. And we can feel bad about feeling angry or sad because we're told that those aren't good emotions, but actually they're normal, and they're normal reactions to a really difficult time. And so it can be really helpful to acknowledge that, and to acknowledge that actually it's okay that I'm feeling this way, because it would be unusual if I didn't, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's answered your question. Okay, if we are people of faith, prayer, meditation, can we do this instead of mindfulness, as there are lots of similarities? Absolutely. If you're finding the same benefits with prayer or meditation, then by all means, you can use that instead. I suppose it's being aware of the judgment side of things, not judging yourself, and allowing I guess with mindfulness, it's really important to accept things as they are and be kind to yourself. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't be, but just be aware of that, because when we're thinking more in a thought way, we might not be aware of that. But actually, if we're being more mindful in noticing whether we're being critical of ourselves or beating ourselves up for things. But absolutely, gratitude is a fantastic way that's kind of similar to mindfulness in being grateful for what you have. So yeah, you can use them interchangeably. Give it a go. Any other questions? We mostly live on autopilot with accidental habits ruling our day. If we make mindfulness one of our habits, it's actually a positive change. We're like, oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you've probably got a bit of experience of using it. So brilliant. I like that. Sometimes when you focus on the emotions, they can spiral. So we don't want to think about them. How do we get through that spiral? Okay. Yes, absolutely. So obviously, if we're dwelling on our emotions, they might spiral into thoughts. And I suppose it's just catching that and acknowledging that sitting with that emotion was probably uncomfortable and not very familiar. We're doing something that we're not used to doing. And so that can feel difficult. So we tend to slip back into the thought mode, where we're making observations and judgments and criticism, and that's where it can spiral a little bit. And so it's important to just catch it, and that's the first step, is catching that we're doing that and that we're going off on a tangent in our thought processes and spiraling into this rumination or worry. So it's just about acknowledging it, and that's the first step, and not beating yourself up about it, and just bringing yourself back to the present, whether that's still with the emotion or with another part of your present, whether it's physical. If you're not finding that helpful, then maybe just moving on to something else in the present moment in that time. So hopefully that's helpful. I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much for your questions, and thank you for coming along to the webinar, and I really hope that you found it helpful. Go away and use the exercises and try and put in a mindful routine, and yeah, really hope that it's helped in some way over the next few weeks or months. Take care. Bye.